close your eyes if you haven't already. Let the darkness settle around you like a soft blanket. Tonight, you're going to dream. You might not remember it, but somewhere in the hours ahead, your mind will slip into another world entirely. A world where you can fly without wings, where strangers have familiar faces, where time bends and logic dissolves. This is the world of dreams. And tonight, we're going to explore why it exists. Welcome to a gentle journey through the neuroscience of dreams, a journey into one of the most mysterious and beautiful things your brain does every single night. You don't need to stay awake for all of this. In fact, it might be perfect if you drift off somewhere along the way, because then you'll experience firsthand what we're talking about. You'll become the dreamer and the dream. Dreams have fascinated humans for as long as we've been human. Ancient civilizations believed they were messages from the gods. Prophets claimed to see the future in their sleep. Artists and poets have tried to capture their strange beauty in words and images. But only recently, in the last 70 years or so, have we begun to understand what dreams really are. Not messages from beyond, but messages from within. Your brain, talking to itself in the language of images and emotions. Scientists have discovered that dreaming isn't random. It's not meaningless noise while your brain idles in the dark. It's an active, purposeful, essential process. Something your brain needs to do to stay healthy. Dreams help you remember what matters. They help you process emotions that might overwhelm you during the day. They let you practice for challenges, real and imagined. They spark creativity by combining ideas in ways you'd never think of while awake. And all of this happens in a very specific state of sleep, a state called REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, a paradoxical state where your body lies perfectly still, but your brain blazes with activity, where your eyes dart back and forth beneath closed lids, as if watching a movie no one else can see. Tonight, we'll explore what happens in your brain during REM sleep, which parts light up and which go quiet, why you see impossible things and believe them completely, why you feel such intense emotions in dreams. We'll look at the leading scientific theories about why we dream at all, and we'll touch gently on nightmares, lucid dreams, and why most dreams vanish from memory within minutes of waking. But we'll do all of this slowly, softly, with plenty of space to breathe, to imagine, to drift. Because this isn't a lecture, it's a bedtime story. A bedtime story about science, but a story nonetheless. So settle in. Let your body sink deeper into whatever surface holds you. Let your breathing slow and deepen. And let's begin to explore the neuroscience of dreams. What exactly is a dream? It sounds like such a simple question, but when you try to define it precisely, it becomes wonderfully slippery. A dream is an experience that happens while you're asleep. That much we know. But what kind of experience? Dreams are made of images, often vivid ones. You see places, people, objects. Sometimes they're familiar. Your childhood home, a friend's face. Sometimes they're strange combinations. A school that's also a shopping mall. Your boss with the voice of your grandmother. The images can be crystal clear, or hazy and shifting like watercolors in rain. But dreams aren't just visual. They're full of sensations. You might feel the texture of things in your hands, the warmth of sunlight, the cold of water. You might hear voices, music, the sound of footsteps or wind. You might even taste or smell things, though this is rarer. And perhaps most importantly, dreams are soaked in emotion. Fear, joy, anxiety, wonder, sadness, love. Often the emotions in dreams are more intense than anything you feel during the day. You might wake with your heart pounding from a dream threat that never existed, or with tears on your cheeks from a dream loss that never happened. Dreams tell stories. Sometimes the stories make sense, at least while you're in them. You're at a party. You're taking an exam. You're walking through a forest. Sometimes the stories are absurd. You're late for something important, but you're moving in slow motion. You need to call someone, but the phone keeps changing in your hands. You're having a conversation with someone who keeps turning into someone else. And here's the strange part. While you're dreaming, you usually accept all of this. The logic that governs your waking life. The part of you that says, wait, that doesn't make sense, is asleep. So you simply experience the dream as it unfolds. You believe you can breathe underwater. You believe your car can fly. You believe the impossible, because in the dream world, it's not impossible at all. Scientists sometimes describe dreams as your brain's private cinema, a theater that exists only in your skull, showing movies only you can see. Movies written, directed, and starring you, though you rarely realize you're making them up as you go. Dreams can be mundane. You might dream about your commute to work, about folding laundry, about grocery shopping, or they can be spectacular. Adventures in fantastical landscapes, reunions with people long gone, moments of transcendent beauty or terror. Some people dream in vivid color, others in shades of gray, though this has become rarer since the age of black and white television ended. Some people are themselves in their dreams. Others watch themselves from outside, like a character in a movie. But here's something remarkable. Everyone dreams. Not just most people. Everyone. Even people who swear they never dream. They do. They just don't remember. Sleep researchers have discovered that when you wake someone during certain stages of sleep and ask them what was going through their mind, they almost always report some kind of mental experience. Sometimes it's fragmented, a thought, an image, a feeling. Sometimes it's a full narrative, a complete story that felt like it lasted hours. You dream multiple times every single night, not just once, multiple times, 4, 5, sometimes 6 separate dreaming periods. Most of them you'll never remember. They'll dissolve like mist in morning sunlight. But they happened. Your brain was busy, all night long, creating these inner worlds. So even if you think you don't dream, you do. Your brain is a storyteller, and every night, without fail, it tells itself stories. But why? What purpose could this serve? Why would evolution design our brains to spend hours each night in this strange, seemingly impractical state? To understand that, we first need to understand when dreams happen. Because dreams don't occur randomly throughout the night. They're tied to the architecture of sleep itself, to specific stages, specific cycles, specific patterns of brain activity. So let's take a gentle journey through a night of sleep. Your night of sleep, tonight's sleep. Let's follow what your brain will do, from the moment you drift off until morning light. Sleep is not a single uniform state. It's not like flipping a switch from on to off. Sleep is a journey through several distinct stages, each with its own purpose, its own brain signature. Scientists divide sleep into two main categories: NREM sleep, which stands for non-rapid eye movement sleep, and REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. NREM sleep has three stages of its own. Stage N1, the lightest sleep. Stage N2, a deeper sleep where you spend most of your night. And stage N3, the deepest sleep, sometimes called slow-wave sleep or deep sleep. When you first lie down tonight and close your eyes, your brain will be producing what scientists call alpha waves. These are the gentle rhythms of a relaxed but awake mind. Then, as you begin to drift, you'll enter N1. This is the threshold between waking and sleeping, the borderland. Your muscles start to relax, your heartbeat slows, your breathing deepens. You might experience what are called hypnagogic sensations, sudden jerks as if you're falling, flashes of images, fragments of thoughts that don't quite make sense. N1 is brief, usually just a few minutes. It's easy to wake from. If someone asks you a question during N1, you might answer, barely realizing you were asleep at all. Then you sink deeper into N2. This is where you'll spend the majority of your night, roughly half of your total sleep time. In N2, your body temperature drops slightly. Your heart rate continues to slow. Your eye movements stop. Brain activity shows distinctive patterns called sleep spindles and K-complexes. These are bursts and waves of electrical activity that scientists believe play a role in memory consolidation. Your brain is already starting to do some of the night's important work. After N2, you descend into N3, the deepest stage of NREM sleep. This is slow-wave sleep. Your brain produces large, slow delta waves. It's very difficult to wake someone from N3. If you do manage to wake them, they'll be groggy, confused, disoriented. N3 is when your body does much of its physical restoration. Growth hormone is released. Tissues are repaired. The immune system is strengthened. This is the sleep that makes you feel refreshed. But do you dream in these NREM stages? The answer is yes, but differently. When researchers wake people during NREM sleep and ask what they were experiencing, people often report thoughts, impressions, fragments. I was thinking about work. I had a vague image of my car. I was remembering something from yesterday. These NREM dreams, if we can call them that, tend to be less vivid, less visual, less story-like, more like daydreaming or mind-wandering. The real dreams, the vivid ones, the bizarre ones, the ones you might remember in the morning, those happen primarily in REM sleep. Your first REM period of the night arrives about 90 minutes after you fall asleep. You've cycled through N1, N2, N3, and now your brain begins to change again. Your brain activity increases dramatically. If someone were measuring your brain waves, they'd see patterns that look remarkably similar to waking consciousness. Your eyes begin to move rapidly back and forth beneath your closed eyelids, giving this stage its name. Your breathing becomes irregular. Your heart rate increases. Your blood pressure rises slightly. But here's the paradox. While all this is happening, while your brain is so active, your body becomes paralyzed. Not completely. You're still breathing. Your heart is still beating. But your major muscle groups, the ones that move your arms and legs, become temporarily unable to move. This is called REM atonia, and it's a safety mechanism. Because in REM sleep, you're about to have experiences that feel real. You're about to run, jump, fly, fight. And if your muscles could follow those dream commands, you'd be acting them out in your bed, potentially hurting yourself or anyone sleeping near you. So your brain's stem sends signals that temporarily disconnect your motor cortex from your muscles. Your brain can dream of running, but your legs stay still. You're safe, held gently in place, while your mind explores impossible worlds. This first REM period is brief, maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15. Then you cycle back into NREM sleep, down through N2, sometimes back into N3, then up again into another REM period. This cycle repeats throughout the night. NREM, then REM, NREM, then REM. Each complete cycle takes about 90 minutes, sometimes a bit longer, between 70 and 120 minutes. Over a full night, you'll go through 4 to 6 of these cycles. But here's what's fascinating. As the night progresses, the cycles change. Early in the night, you spend more time in deep N3 sleep. Your body does its heaviest restoration work. Your REM periods are short. But as morning approaches, the balance shifts. You spend less time in N3, more time in N2, and much more time in REM. Your final REM period of the night, the one closest to when you wake, might last 30 minutes or more. This is why you're most likely to remember your morning dreams. They're the longest, the most vivid, and they end closest to waking, so they're freshest in memory. If you've ever woken naturally, without an alarm, and found yourself in the middle of an elaborate dream, now you know why. You were in that long final REM period, your brain's last big storytelling session before the day begins. So sleep is not a flat line. It's a wave, a rhythm, rising and falling through stages, each with its purpose, and woven through this rhythm, appearing and reappearing like a recurring melody, is REM sleep, the dream state. When scientists first discovered REM sleep in the 1950s, it revolutionized our understanding of sleep and dreams. Before that, people thought sleep was simply nothing, a passive state, the brain turning off. But REM sleep showed that the brain never really turns off. It just shifts gears, enters a different mode, a mode that's just as active as waking, but directed inward instead of outward. And in this inward-turned state, something remarkable happens. You become both the author and the audience of stories you didn't know you were creating. You experience entire worlds, meet countless characters, feel genuine emotions, all generated from within. Your brain becomes a theater, a cinema, a storyteller. And you, the dreamer, are both watching the show and starring in it. But what exactly is happening inside your skull during these REM periods? Which parts of your brain light up? Which parts go quiet? What creates the vivid images, the intense emotions, the bizarre logic of dreams? To understand that, we need to look more closely at REM sleep itself, this strange, paradoxical, essential state. This state where your body rests, but your brain dances. Let's explore REM sleep, the gateway to dreams. REM sleep is unlike any other state your brain enters. It's been called paradoxical sleep because it seems to contradict itself. Your body is deeply asleep, more relaxed than at almost any other time. But your brain is ablaze with activity. If someone were to measure your brain waves during REM sleep, they would see something remarkable. The electrical patterns wouldn't look like sleep at all. They would look like waking consciousness. Fast, desynchronized, active. The signature of a mind that's busy, intensely busy, doing something. Scientists first discovered this state in 1953. A researcher named Eugene Oserinsky was studying his young son's sleep. He noticed something strange. At certain times during the night, while the boy was clearly asleep, his eyes were moving rapidly beneath his closed eyelids, darting back and forth, left and right, as if watching something. Oserinsky and his colleague Nathaniel Kleitman began waking people during these periods of rapid eye movement. And almost every time, the person reported that they had been dreaming, not just thinking, dreaming. Vivid, visual, emotional dreams. This was the discovery of REM sleep, and it changed everything we thought we knew about sleep and consciousness. Because suddenly it was clear, sleep wasn't just one thing. It was a landscape with different territories, and REM sleep was the territory of dreams. So what exactly happens during REM sleep? Let's walk through it. Slowly, as if you were entering this state right now. You've been asleep for about 90 minutes. You've descended through the lighter stages, spent some time in deep sleep. Now your brain is ready for something different. Signals from deep within your brain stem begin to change. Neurotransmitters shift. Your brain begins to produce more acetylcholine, a chemical that promotes activation and attention. At the same time, levels of serotonin and norepinephrine, chemicals associated with logical thinking and focused attention, drop dramatically. This chemical shift creates a unique mental state. Your brain becomes highly active, but in a different way than during waking. More emotional, less logical, more visual, less verbal. Your breathing becomes irregular, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. Your heart rate increases slightly and becomes variable. If someone were measuring your body, they might think you were awake and active, but you're not. You're deeply asleep. And then your eyes begin to move. Beneath your closed lids, they dart rapidly from side to side, sometimes in quick bursts, sometimes in slower sweeps. Scientists still debate exactly why this happens. Some think the eye movements reflect what you're looking at in the dream, scanning the dream landscape. Others think they're just a side effect of the intense brain activity, movements without meaning. But regardless of why, these rapid eye movements are the hallmark of this sleep stage, the sign that you've entered the dream state. And here's where things get truly strange. As your brain becomes more active, as your eyes begin to move, your major muscle groups become paralyzed, not your breathing muscles. Those keep working, not your heart. It keeps beating, not your eyes. They're free to move, but your arms, your legs, your torso, they become temporarily unable to move. This paralysis is called REM atonia. It originates in a small region of your brain stem called the sublaterodorsal nucleus. Specialized neurons in this region send signals down your spinal cord. These signals inhibit the motor neurons that would normally activate your muscles. In essence, your brain disconnects itself from your body. It's a safety mechanism, a fail-safe. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to have experiences that feel completely real. You might dream you're running from something. climbing a mountain, flying through the air, fighting an adversary. Your motor cortex, the part of your brain that controls movement, will activate as if you're really doing these things. But thanks to REM atonia, those signals don't reach your muscles. You remain perfectly still, safe in your bed, while your mind explores worlds of its own creation. Occasionally, very rarely, this paralysis system doesn't work perfectly. Some people experience what's called REM behavior disorder. Their muscles don't fully paralyze during REM sleep, so they act out their dreams, sometimes violently, kicking, punching, moving. But for most people, most of the time, the system works flawlessly. You dream of movement, but your body stays peacefully still. Sometimes the timing of this paralysis can get slightly off. You might wake up before the paralysis has fully released. For a few seconds, maybe a minute. You're conscious but unable to move. This is called sleep paralysis. It can be frightening if you don't know what's happening, but it's completely harmless. Just your brain and body briefly out of sync. Within moments, the paralysis releases, and you can move again. So during REM sleep, you're in this paradoxical state. Body paralyzed, brain active, eyes moving, heart beating faster, and somewhere in your mind, a dream is unfolding. But what's happening inside your brain to create that dream? Which regions are working, and which are resting? What's the neural architecture of a dream? Scientists have used brain imaging technology to peer inside the dreaming brain. They've used PET scans, functional MRI, EEG recordings, and what they've discovered is a fascinating pattern of activation and deactivation. A unique neural signature that explains why dreams feel the way they do. Let's start at the back of your brain. Your visual cortex, the region that processes what you see with your eyes, becomes highly active during REM sleep. Not as active as when you're awake with your eyes open, but remarkably active for someone whose eyes are closed in a dark room. This is why dreams are so visual. Your visual cortex is generating imagery, not from external input, but from internal signals. It's creating pictures, landscapes, faces, colors, all on its own. Your brain is essentially hallucinating, but in a controlled, purposeful way, projecting a movie onto the screen of your mind. The images might be drawn from memory, a face you saw yesterday, a room from your childhood. Or they might be combinations, mashups, creative reconfigurations. Your friend's face on a stranger's body, your home in a landscape that doesn't exist. The visual cortex doesn't care about logical consistency. It just creates freely, wildly, beautifully. Deep in the center of your brain, another region is intensely active, the amygdala. This almond-shaped structure is your brain's emotion center, particularly for emotions like fear and anxiety. During REM sleep, the amygdala lights up. It's as active during REM sleep as it is during waking, sometimes even more so. This is why dreams are so emotionally intense. Your emotional brain is turned up, amplified, given free rein. Fear feels like terror. Joy feels like ecstasy. Sadness feels overwhelming. Small concerns from your waking life can become enormous in dreams. Being late for work becomes a desperate race against time. A minor social awkwardness becomes public humiliation. The amygdala processes these emotions, rehearses them, works through them. And in doing so, it may be helping you manage emotions when you're awake. Studies have shown that REM sleep actually reduces the emotional intensity of memories. If you experience something stressful during the day and then dream about it, the emotional charge often decreases. The memory remains, but it stings less. It's as if REM sleep provides a kind of overnight therapy. Your amygdala processes the emotion again and again until it's no longer overwhelming. Scientists have even found that the extent of this emotional processing correlates with specific brain activity during REM. People who show lower levels of stress-related brain activity during REM sleep wake up with more emotional resilience. Their brains have done the nighttime work of processing and soothing. Another region that's active during REM sleep is the hippocampus. This seahorse-shaped structure is crucial for memory. It's where your brain temporarily stores new experiences before deciding whether to file them away in long-term memory. During REM sleep, the hippocampus replays fragments of your recent experiences. A conversation you had, a place you visited, a problem you were trying to solve. These fragments get woven into your dreams. This is why dreams often feature people you saw recently, places you've been, concerns that are on your mind. Your hippocampus is sorting through the day's experiences, deciding what matters, what to keep. But it doesn't replay them exactly as they happened. Instead, it recombines them, mixes them with older memories, creates new associations. This is part of how memories get consolidated during sleep. The hippocampus is linking new information with old, building connections, strengthening neural pathways. The thalamus, a relay station deep in your brain, is also active during REM. During waking, the thalamus sends sensory information from the outside world to your cortex. During REM sleep, it still sends information to your cortex. But the information isn't coming from outside. It's internally generated. Signals from memory systems, emotional systems, spontaneous neural firing. The thalamus relays all of this to your cortex, where it gets woven into the fabric of dreams. Now, here's what's fascinating. While all these regions are highly active, one crucial area is remarkably quiet: your prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex sits right behind your forehead. It's the most recently evolved part of the human brain, and it does something incredibly important. It provides executive function, logical thinking, planning, critical analysis, self-awareness. It's the part of you that says, "Wait, does this make sense?" During waking, your prefrontal cortex is constantly monitoring your experience. It evaluates, questions, maintains consistency. It's your internal fact-checker, your logic gate. But during REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex becomes much less active. It doesn't shut down completely, but it goes quiet. It stops monitoring, stops questioning. And this is why dreams are so bizarre. Without your prefrontal cortex keeping watch, impossible things become possible. You can fly. You can breathe underwater. You can be in two places at once. People can morph into other people mid-conversation. Buildings can shift and change. Time can loop and skip. And you, the dreamer, accept all of it. You don't think, "This is strange." You don't question the logic. You simply experience it, as if it were perfectly normal. This explains one of the most curious features of dreams. While you're dreaming, you rarely realize you're dreaming. The self-awareness that would say, "This is just a dream," requires prefrontal activity. And that activity is dampened, so you're immersed completely in the dream world. Believing it, experiencing it, living it. Only later, when you wake, does your prefrontal cortex come back online. And suddenly you think, "That was so weird. Why did I think I could fly? Why didn't I realize it was a dream?" But in the moment, you couldn't question it. Your questioning brain was asleep. So the dreaming brain is a brain with a unique configuration. Visual system, active. Emotional system, active. Memory system, active. Logical system, quiet. It's a brain optimized not for navigating the external world, but for processing internal experience, for working through emotions, for consolidating memories, for making unexpected connections, for creativity, for problem-solving in non-linear ways. Your motor cortex also activates during dreams. When you dream of running, the motor cortex sends the signals for running. When you dream of reaching out to touch something, it sends the signals for reaching. But remember, your muscles are paralyzed. So the signals arrive, but nothing moves. You experience the sensation of movement without actually moving. This creates a strange and wonderful phenomenon. In dreams, you can do things you might not be able to do in waking life. You can run faster than humanly possible, jump higher, perform feats of strength or grace. Because you're not constrained by your actual body. You're only constrained by what your brain can imagine. This neural activity, this pattern of activation and deactivation, happens multiple times each night. Every 90 minutes or so, your brain shifts into REM sleep, and each time, the dream-generating machinery starts up again. The first REM period might produce a brief, simple dream. Just 10 minutes of neural activity, a short story, a simple scene. But as the night progresses, REM periods get longer, more elaborate, more vivid. By morning, you might spend 30 minutes or more in a single REM period. 30 minutes of continuous dreaming, an epic, complex, emotionally rich narrative playing out entirely in your mind. And all of these dreams, serve purposes we're still working to fully understand. But scientists have developed several compelling theories. Theories about why evolution preserved this strange state. Why we spend roughly 2 hours every night, 1/4 of our sleep time, in this paradoxical dreaming state. Because REM sleep is ancient. It exists in all mammals, in birds, possibly in reptiles in a different form. Which means it emerged early in evolutionary history and has been maintained for millions of years. Evolution doesn't maintain costly processes without reason. And REM sleep is costly. It requires significant energy. It makes you vulnerable, deeply asleep, unable to respond to threats. So there must be benefits, important benefits, benefits that outweigh the costs. What are those benefits? Why do we dream? Let's explore the main scientific theories, gently, one at a time, starting with perhaps the most well-supported, the idea that dreams help us remember. Memory consolidation. These two words appear again and again in scientific studies of sleep and dreaming. The idea is simple, but profound. When you learn something new during the day, When you experience something, that information isn't immediately filed away in permanent storage. It's temporary, fragile, like writing something in sand near the ocean. It could be washed away. But during sleep, and especially during REM sleep, your brain does something remarkable. It replays those experiences, reviews them, strengthens them, and in doing so, transforms them from temporary memories into lasting ones. This is memory consolidation, the process of taking fragile new memories and making them permanent. And dreams appear to be part of this process. Think about what happens when you learn something complex. Maybe you're learning to play a musical instrument, or a new language, or how to navigate a new city. During the day, you practice, you repeat, you make mistakes and correct them. By evening, the skill feels somewhat familiar, but not yet automatic. You still have to think about it consciously. But then you sleep, and during that sleep, something changes. Your brain is working, even though you're not aware of it. Studies have shown that people who learn a new skill and then get a full night of sleep perform better the next day than people who don't sleep. Not just a little better, sometimes dramatically better. The sleep did something. It consolidated the learning, made the neural connections stronger, more automatic. And when researchers specifically look at REM sleep, they find something interesting. REM sleep seems particularly important for certain types of memory. Procedural memories, the how-to memories, how to play that chord progression, how to solve that type of problem. And emotional memories, experiences that carried emotional weight. During REM sleep, your hippocampus, that memory center we talked about earlier, becomes active. It replays patterns of neural activity from the day. If you spent time navigating a new building, your hippocampus replays those spatial patterns. If you practiced a physical skill, it replays those motor sequences. And this replay doesn't happen in isolation. While your hippocampus is replaying these patterns, it's communicating with your cortex, the outer layer of your brain where long-term memories are stored. Information flows from hippocampus to cortex, temporary storage to permanent storage. The cortex gradually takes over the memory, building it into its vast network of knowledge. This process is reflected in your dreams. Have you ever noticed that you sometimes dream about things you did that day, or about problems you were working on? This isn't random. It's your brain actively processing those experiences. You might dream about the video game you played for hours, about the presentation you're preparing for work, about the conversation that troubled you. Your brain is replaying these experiences, but not exactly as they happened. It's extracting patterns, making connections. In one famous study, researchers had people play a skiing video game for several hours. Then they let them sleep while monitoring their brain activity. When they woke people during REM sleep and asked what they were dreaming about, many reported dreams involving skiing. Not exactly the video game, but related imagery, related movements, related scenarios. Their brains were consolidating the new skill. There's even a phenomenon called sleep on it that most people have experienced. You're struggling with a problem. You can't find the solution, so you give up for the night and go to bed. And the next morning, often within moments of waking, the solution appears. Clear, obvious, almost as if someone whispered it to you while you slept. This isn't magic, it's consolidation. During sleep, your brain continued working on the problem. It made connections you couldn't make while awake, because your waking mind was too focused, too linear, too constrained by logic. But the dreaming brain, with its quiet prefrontal cortex, can make unexpected leaps. It can connect ideas that seem unrelated, try solutions that seem illogical, and sometimes, those unexpected connections are exactly what's needed. So memory consolidation theory suggests that dreams serve a practical purpose. They're not just random noise. They're your brain doing essential maintenance work, sorting through the day's experiences, deciding what to keep and what to discard, strengthening what matters, filing everything away, organizing your mental library while you rest. But memory consolidation is only part of the story, because dreams don't just help you remember facts and skills. They help you process something even more fundamental: emotions. Think about the last time you experienced something emotionally intense. Maybe you had an argument with someone you care about, or received disappointing news, or felt anxious about an upcoming challenge. In the moment, those emotions can be overwhelming. They flood your system, make it hard to think clearly. Your heart races, your thoughts spin. Everything feels urgent, intense, sometimes unbearable. But often, after a night of sleep, those same emotions feel more manageable. The situation hasn't changed. The problem still exists. But somehow, you feel calmer, more able to cope. The emotional intensity has decreased. What happened? Scientists have discovered that REM sleep acts as a kind of overnight therapy, a natural emotional regulation system. And the key lies in a remarkable feature of REM sleep chemistry. During waking, when you experience something stressful, your brain releases stress hormones. Noradrenaline, also called norepinephrine, is one of the main ones. This hormone creates that feeling of being on edge, alert, ready to respond to threat. It's part of your fight or flight response, essential for survival, but exhausting if it continues too long. But during REM sleep, something unusual happens. Noradrenaline levels drop dramatically. REM sleep is the only time, during your entire day and night, when noradrenaline is almost completely absent from your brain. And this creates a unique opportunity. Your brain can reactivate emotional memories, replay stressful experiences, but without the stress chemistry. The memory is there, but the panic is gone. It's like watching a movie of something frightening with the volume turned way down. You can see what happened, remember it, process it, but the intensity is reduced, manageable. Research has shown that when people experience something emotionally difficult and then get adequate REM sleep, the emotional charge of that memory decreases. The next day, when they think about the experience, their amygdala, that emotion center, shows less activation. The memory remains. They can recall what happened, but it doesn't trigger the same intensity of emotion. The sting has been removed. Brain imaging studies have revealed the mechanism. After REM sleep, there's decreased activity in the amygdala when recalling emotional memories, and increased connectivity between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex. The rational, regulating part of the brain. In other words, REM sleep helps integrate emotional experiences into a broader context. The raw emotion gets processed, understood, regulated. What felt overwhelming becomes something you can think about calmly. This is why people often say, "sleep on it," when facing an emotional decision or conflict. Not just because sleep helps you think more clearly, but because sleep literally processes the emotions, softens them, helps you see things with more perspective. Dreams are part of this emotional processing. When you dream about something that bothered you, your brain is working through it. Not always directly. Sometimes dreams disguise or symbolize the real issue, but the emotional themes are there. You might dream about being unprepared, or losing something important, or being unable to escape a situation. These aren't random images. They're your brain exploring emotional territories, practicing responses, rehearsing coping strategies, processing fears in a safe space where nothing can actually harm you. Studies of people with post-traumatic stress disorder have revealed how important this process is. People with PTSD often have disrupted REM sleep. Their REM sleep is fragmented, shorter, less effective. And because of this, they struggle to process traumatic memories. The memories remain intensely emotional, overwhelming, intrusive. The overnight therapy isn't working properly. This suggests that healthy REM sleep, healthy dreaming, is essential for emotional well-being. When dreams can do their job, you wake more emotionally balanced, better able to face the day, more resilient. So dreams help you remember, and dreams help you feel. Or rather, they help you feel less overwhelmed by feeling. They regulate emotion, soothe distress, integrate difficult experiences into your ongoing life story. But there's another theory about why we dream. A theory that looks back, deep into evolutionary history, to a time when survival was precarious and every threat had to be taken seriously. This is threat simulation theory, and it suggests that dreams evolved as a kind of rehearsal space, a virtual reality simulator for practicing responses to danger. Imagine you're an early human, tens of thousands of years ago. Your world is full of threats, predators, hostile groups, dangerous weather, scarcity of food. Every day presents challenges that could mean the difference between survival and death. In such an environment, anything that helps you respond quickly and effectively to threats would be valuable. And one way to get better at responding to threats is to practice. But practicing with real threats is dangerous. You might get hurt or killed. So what if your brain could create safe simulations? Threat simulation theory suggests that this is what dreams do. They create scenarios where you face threats, but in a completely safe context. You're asleep. Nothing can actually harm you. But your brain practices anyway. Practices perceiving threats, practices responding to them, practices escape, confrontation, avoidance. This would explain why so many dreams involve threatening or challenging situations. Dreams of being chased, dreams of falling, dreams of being in danger, dreams where you're unprepared for something important, where you've lost something, where you're trapped. These aren't pleasant dreams, but they might serve a purpose. They're your brain running threat simulations, keeping your threat detection and threat response systems sharp. Of course, most modern humans don't face the same threats as our ancestors. You're probably not worried about predators, but you do face other threats. Social threats, professional threats, the threat of failure, embarrassment, loss. And dreams about these modern concerns might serve the same evolutionary function. Dreaming about failing an exam, even though you're long out of school, might be your brain practicing for evaluative situations. Dreaming about being late or unprepared or exposed might be rehearsing responses to social threats. The content has changed with culture and circumstance, but the function might remain the same. Practice, rehearsal, preparation. Not all scientists agree with threat simulation theory. Some point out that not all dreams are threatening. Many dreams are neutral, mundane, even pleasant. But supporters of the theory note that threatening dreams are disproportionately common. More common than you'd expect if dreams were just random replays of daily life. And even neutral dreams might contain elements of challenge, problem-solving, navigation of complex situations, all of which could sharpen cognitive skills useful for survival. There's one more function of dreams we should explore. One that's less about survival and more about innovation, creativity. Throughout history, people have reported creative breakthroughs in dreams. Dmitri Mendeleev, the chemist who created the periodic table of elements, reportedly saw the arrangement in a dream. Paul McCartney said the melody for the song Yesterday came to him in a dream. Elias Howe, inventor of the sewing machine, solved a key design problem through a dream. These stories might sound apocryphal, but there's actually a scientific basis for creativity in dreams. Remember how the prefrontal cortex, your logical brain, goes quiet during REM sleep? This removes constraints. During waking, your thinking tends to be linear, logical, constrained by rules and expectations. This is useful for most tasks. But it can also limit creativity, because creativity often requires breaking rules, making unexpected connections, seeing possibilities that logic would dismiss. The dreaming brain excels at this. It combines ideas in ways you'd never think of while awake. It ignores categories, blends memories, creates novel associations. This is why dreams feel so surreal. Your childhood friend appears in your workplace. Your car becomes a boat. You solve a math problem by singing. None of this makes logical sense. But sometimes, hidden in the nonsense, there's insight, a connection you needed to make, a perspective you couldn't access while constrained by waking logic. Studies have shown that people who get REM sleep after learning information are better at finding creative connections between ideas. They're more likely to have insights, to see patterns, to solve problems in novel ways. The dreaming brain, freed from logic, explores wildly. And sometimes, that wild exploration leads somewhere valuable. So why do we dream? The answer appears to be, for many reasons. Not just one function, but several, all happening simultaneously. Dreams consolidate memories, deciding what to keep and what to discard. Dreams process emotions, softening their intensity, integrating difficult experiences. Dreams simulate threats, keeping your survival instincts sharp. Dreams foster creativity, making unexpected connections that waking thought might miss. All of this happens naturally, automatically, every single night. While you lie perfectly still, your brain is incredibly active, working, organizing, healing, creating, taking care of you in ways you'll never directly witness. But dreams aren't all the same. There are different types, different flavors, different qualities of dreaming. And some of these deserve a closer, though still gentle, look. Let's talk about the varieties of dreams. Because not all dreams are the same. They come in different forms, different intensities, different qualities. Some dreams recur, appearing night after night with the same themes. Some are frightening, filled with threat and distress. And some, rare and remarkable, are dreams in which you know you're dreaming. Let's begin with recurring dreams. Many people experience them at some point in their lives. The same scenario, playing out again and again. Maybe you're back in school, unprepared for an exam you forgot about. Maybe you're searching for something you can never find. Maybe you're trying to run but moving in slow motion. Recurring dreams aren't random repetitions. They typically signal something unresolved, an emotion that hasn't been fully processed, a situation that's causing ongoing stress, a pattern in your life that your unconscious mind is trying to address. From a neuroscience perspective, recurring dreams might represent neural pathways that have been strengthened through repetition. Certain emotional patterns, certain concerns, activate the same networks again and again. And so the dream recreates itself, trying to work through the issue. Often, when the underlying concern is resolved, the recurring dream stops. The neural pattern changes, the emotional charge dissipates, and your dreaming mind moves on to other themes. Then there are nightmares. Dreams that wake you with your heart pounding, sometimes with a gasp or cry. Dreams filled with fear, danger, helplessness, loss. Everyone has nightmares occasionally. They're a normal part of dreaming, especially during times of stress. Remember, dreams process emotions, and sometimes those emotions are difficult ones. Nightmares represent your amygdala, your emotional brain, working overtime, processing fear, working through threats, real or imagined. In a sense, even nightmares serve a purpose. They're your brain practicing coping with distress, exploring worst-case scenarios in a safe space where you can't actually be harmed. But sometimes nightmares become chronic. This is particularly common in people who have experienced trauma. People with post-traumatic stress disorder often have recurring nightmares about their traumatic experiences. In these cases, the normal emotional processing function of dreams isn't working properly. Instead of reducing the emotional charge of the memory, the nightmares seem to maintain it. The person relives the trauma night after night. Research suggests this happens because trauma can disrupt the neurochemistry of REM sleep. The normal reduction in stress hormones, the calming effect of REM sleep, doesn't occur fully, so the dream becomes re-traumatizing rather than healing. The good news is that there are treatments that can help. Therapies specifically designed for nightmares, like imagery rehearsal therapy, can retrain the dreaming brain, teaching it new patterns, new endings to old stories. And over time, the nightmares often decrease in frequency and intensity. If you experience frequent nightmares that disrupt your sleep or affect your quality of life, it's worth talking to a healthcare provider. Help is available. Dreams, even difficult ones, can change. Now let's talk about a particularly fascinating type of dream: lucid dreams. These are dreams in which you become aware, while still dreaming, that you're dreaming. Imagine you're in the middle of a dream. You're walking through a strange city, talking to people you half recognize, and suddenly, something makes you pause. A detail that's wrong. The light is strange. The physics don't work. And in that moment, you realize, I'm dreaming. This realization, this sudden awareness, transforms the dream entirely. Once you know you're dreaming, the dream often becomes more vivid, more controllable. Some people can then direct the dream, choosing where to go, what to do, fly, change the scenery, summon people or objects. Lucid dreaming is rare. Most people experience it only occasionally, if at all. Some people have lucid dreams frequently, others never. What's happening in the brain during lucid dreaming? Scientists have discovered something remarkable. During lucid dreams, parts of the prefrontal cortex, that logical, self-aware part of the brain that usually goes quiet during REM sleep, reactivate. Not fully, not as much as during waking, but enough to provide a degree of self-awareness and critical thinking, enough to realize this is a dream. Brain imaging studies show that lucid dreamers have increased activity in the anterior prefrontal cortex, a region associated with metacognition. Metacognition means thinking about thinking, being aware of your own mental processes. In a lucid dream, you're aware that you're having a dream experience. You're conscious, within the dream, of your own consciousness. Recent research suggests that lucid dreaming might represent a unique state of consciousness. Not quite waking, not quite normal REM sleep. Something in between, a hybrid state. A state where you have the vivid imagery and emotional intensity of dreams, combined with the self-awareness and agency of waking. Some people practice lucid dreaming intentionally. They use techniques to increase the likelihood of becoming aware during dreams. Reality checks during the day, asking, "Am I dreaming?" So the habit carries into sleep. Keeping dream journals to strengthen dream recall and pattern recognition. Setting intentions before sleep. But for most people, lucid dreams remain rare and spontaneous events. Gifts that arrive unexpectedly. Moments when the boundary between sleeping and waking becomes delightfully blurred. Another curious phenomenon is the false awakening. This is when you dream that you've woken up. You sit up in bed, get dressed, start your morning routine. Everything seems normal, but then something strange happens, and you realize you're still dreaming. Sometimes you wake up for real at that point. Sometimes you wake up again within the dream, only to discover that awakening was also false. These nested dreams can be disorienting, but they're harmless. Just your dreaming brain creating convincing simulations of waking life. And then there's sleep paralysis. We touched on this earlier, but it's worth understanding more fully. Because if it happens to you, it can be frightening if you don't know what's occurring. Sleep paralysis happens when you become conscious, but the muscle paralysis of REM sleep hasn't fully released yet. You're awake, aware of your surroundings, but temporarily unable to move. This typically lasts only seconds, maybe a minute or two. Sometimes sleep paralysis is accompanied by hallucinations. You might sense a presence in the room, feel pressure on your chest, hear sounds that aren't there. This happens because your brain is in a transitional state between dreaming and waking. Dream imagery can bleed into waking perception. Throughout history, before we understood the neuroscience, people interpreted sleep paralysis as supernatural. Demons sitting on the chest, alien abductions, ghost encounters. But it's simply a timing glitch in your brain's sleep-wake transition. If you experience sleep paralysis, the best thing to do is remain calm. Remind yourself that it's temporary, that you're safe. Within moments, the paralysis will release. You'll be able to move again, and everything will return to normal. Now, let's talk about why we forget dreams. Because most dreams, even vivid ones, vanish within minutes of waking. You might wake with a clear memory of an elaborate dream, but by the time you've brushed your teeth, it's gone. Fragments remain, but the coherent narrative has dissolved. This forgetting isn't a failure of your brain. It's actually by design. Dreams aren't meant to be permanently stored the same way waking memories are. Remember the hippocampus, your brain's memory center? During REM sleep, communication between the hippocampus and the cortex is reduced. The hippocampus is doing its consolidation work, replaying daytime experiences, but it's not encoding the dreams themselves as lasting memories. Additionally, the neurochemical environment of REM sleep doesn't favor memory formation. Low levels of noradrenaline, which is important for attention and memory encoding, mean that dreams aren't stamped into long-term storage. They're ephemeral by nature. Dreams also have qualities that make them hard to remember. They're often bizarre, illogical, fragmented. They don't fit neatly into categories your brain uses for organizing memories. So even when you do remember them briefly, they're difficult to hold on to, like trying to grip water. There are ways to improve dream recall if you're interested. Keeping a dream journal by your bed and writing immediately upon waking can help. The act of recording trains your brain to prioritize dream memories. Waking naturally, without an alarm, also helps, because you're more likely to wake during or just after a REM period. And lying still for a moment upon waking, before moving or thinking about the day, gives dreams a chance to surface. But it's also perfectly fine not to remember your dreams. They've already served their purpose during sleep. The consolidation, the emotional processing, the creativity. All of that happened whether you remember it or not. Dreams across the lifespan also vary in interesting ways. Babies spend about half their sleep time in REM, far more than adults. Scientists believe this is because their brains are developing rapidly. The intense neural activity of REM sleep may support brain maturation, building connections, organizing circuits. Do babies dream? We can't ask them, but probably yes, in some form. Though their dreams would be different from adult dreams, built from their limited experiences. Sensations, emotions, perhaps images of faces and movements. Children dream vividly. Their dreams are often fantastical, filled with imagination, talking animals, magic, adventures. But children also have nightmares more frequently than adults. Their emotional regulation systems are still developing, and their active imaginations can conjure frightening scenarios. As we move into adulthood, dream content typically becomes more realistic, more focused on daily concerns, work, relationships, responsibilities. Our dreams reflect our waking lives, processing the experiences and emotions that occupy our days. In older age, REM sleep decreases somewhat, not dramatically, but measurably. Yet dreams continue throughout life. As long as you sleep, you dream. The dreaming brain is with you from infancy to old age, a lifelong companion. Dreams and mental health are intimately connected. We've touched on this already, but it's worth emphasizing. Healthy sleep, including healthy REM sleep and dreaming, supports emotional well-being. When REM sleep is disrupted, mood can suffer. People who are sleep-deprived, especially REM-deprived, often become irritable, anxious, emotionally reactive. Their emotional regulation is impaired. Conversely, many mental health conditions affect sleep and dreams. Depression often involves early morning awakening and altered REM patterns. Anxiety can lead to difficulty falling asleep and more nightmares. PTSD, as we discussed, frequently involves disturbed REM sleep and recurring traumatic nightmares. Some medications, particularly antidepressants, can suppress REM sleep. This doesn't necessarily cause problems, and the mood benefits of the medication may outweigh any effects on dreaming. But it's a reminder that sleep and mental health are deeply intertwined. When people treat sleep problems, their mental health often improves. And when they treat mental health conditions, sleep often improves. The two support each other. If you're struggling with persistent nightmares, chronic insomnia, or other sleep disturbances that affect your quality of life, reaching out for help is important. Sleep medicine has advanced tremendously. There are effective treatments, compassionate practitioners, evidence-based approaches. You don't have to struggle alone. But for most people, most nights, dreams are a gift. A nightly journey into inner worlds, a way for your brain to take care of itself and you. Despite all we've learned, dreams retain their mystery. Science has illuminated much. We know about REM sleep, brain regions, neurotransmitters, functions. But we still can't fully explain subjective experience. Why does a pattern of neural firing become the experience of flying? Why does activity in your visual cortex create the sense of seeing a face, a landscape, a color that doesn't exist? How does the brain, this 3-pound organ, generate an entire world, complete with sights, sounds, emotions, narratives, a world you can be completely immersed in, even though it exists nowhere but in your own mind? This is the hard problem of consciousness, and dreams sit right at the heart of it, because in dreams, consciousness continues without external input. You're experiencing, perceiving, feeling, all from within. Every dream is unique to the dreamer. No one else will ever experience your dreams exactly as you do. They're yours, intimately, privately, mysteriously yours. And perhaps that's part of their beauty. This nightly reminder that your mind is vast, capable of creating entire universes, of feeling profound emotions about events that never happened, of experiencing impossibilities as if they were real. You are the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the creation, and every night you get to experience this miracle all over again. So tonight, when you finish listening to this, when you close your eyes for the last time today, know that you're about to embark on a journey. Your brain will guide you through cycles of sleep, down into deep restoration, up into dreaming awareness, down and up, all through the night. And somewhere in those cycles, you'll dream. Your visual cortex will paint pictures. Your amygdala will add emotion. Your hippocampus will weave in memories. Your prefrontal cortex will rest, allowing impossibilities to seem perfectly natural. And in that state, you'll process your day, consolidate what you learned, soften what hurt, explore what puzzled you, make connections you couldn't make while awake. Your brain will do all of this, automatically, effortlessly, taking care of you while you rest, organizing your inner world, preparing you for tomorrow. You don't need to do anything. Just let go. Let sleep come. Let your breathing slow. Deep breath in, slow breath out. Feel your body heavy against the surface beneath you. Heavy, relaxed, safe. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. This is your time to rest. And as you rest, your brain will dream. It will create worlds for you, take you on journeys, show you things you've never seen. You might remember these dreams in the morning. You might not. Either way is perfect. The dreams will have done their work, whether you recall them or not. So let yourself drift now. Float down through the layers of consciousness, from waking to drowsy to sleep, from light sleep to deeper sleep, and then, when your brain is ready, into REM, into the theater of dreams. Your eyes might move beneath closed lids, watching scenes that unfold in your mind. Your body will lie still, perfectly safe, held by that temporary paralysis. While your mind, your beautiful, creative, mysterious mind, explores, processes, heals, creates. This is your birthright as a human being, to dream. Every night, without fail, your brain offers you this gift. These inner journeys, these nightly adventures in consciousness. And you don't have to understand them fully to appreciate them. You don't have to analyze or interpret. Just experience. Just allow. Trust your brain to do what it knows how to do. It's been dreaming since before you were born, even before birth in the womb. Your developing brain was cycling through sleep states, practicing for this lifetime of nights. And it will continue night after night, year after year. Your faithful companion, your inner storyteller, your dream weaver. So rest now. Let go of the day. Let go of thoughts about tomorrow. This moment, right now, is for sleep, for rest, for dreams. Your body knows what to do. Your breath slowing. Your heartbeat gentle and steady. Your muscles releasing their tension. Everything softening. Everything settling into stillness, into quiet, into sleep, and from sleep into dreams. Welcome them when they come, whatever form they take, gentle dreams or intense ones, familiar dreams or strange ones. All of them are your mind's way of taking care of you. All of them are part of the magnificent process of being human, of having a brain that never truly rests, that works through the night, organizing, processing, creating, dreaming. You are safe. You are held. You are exactly where you need to be. And your dreams, whatever they may be tonight, are waiting to unfold, waiting to carry you through the night. So sleep now. Sleep deeply. Dream beautifully. And know that when morning comes, your brain will have done its work. You'll wake refreshed, restored, ready for a new day. But that's for later. Right now, there's only this darkness, this quiet, this gentle drift into sleep, into dreams. Good night. Sweet dreams.